Hey guys, it's Mo Clark checking in with Upscale Magazine with the lovely dating coach, dating guru, the girl with the plan, Miss Kendra G. How are you?
Hi, I'm Cupid with a K, honey, and a journalist at heart, y'all. They be getting mad when they be calling me all these titles, girl, but I'm the one that connects singles all around the world.
And listen, before I actually ask my real questions, I've been following you for a long time. So I guess my interest is how did you get into this whole helping people find love thing?
Yes, yes. You know, the this whole single brand began because I became single. So we go back to, I'm a journalist at heart. And I was hosting a morning show at the time in Chicago, and I was in a relationship, and then 2020 hit, and our world forever changed. And me and my then boyfriend, we broke up during COVID. So, and you couldn't quarantine with anybody else because I was quarantining with him. This is like pre-mask time. So when we broke up, I was like lonely in my Chicago apartment, couldn't go to no friend's house. At the time, we were even working virtually. So I was literally in the house. And I always want to show love to D Nice because he inspired me to start this movement for singles. Because at the time, D Nice was connecting us all via Instagram with music. So, IG Live was the way we were all being connected. So I was like, well, you know what? If I feel this lonely right now, single, I'm quite sure there's other singles around the world that also feel this way. So let me, go on IG Live and connect them. And that's literally what I did. It was one night, April 2020. And I was like, listen, I'm going live on Instagram Live. If you single, I'm going to find you somebody. And that one night changed my whole life. And I knew that night too, it changed my life because it was so entertaining. And I said, you know what, Kendra, if you take this serious, your life's forever changed. And then how it came is we grew from Instagram to Facebook to YouTube. And then finally, I decided to launch the Kendra G Singles dating app. I ended up walking away from the morning show gig in Chicago, relocated to California, started my own company. We launched the dating app. Last year, we launched the Kendra G Singles card game. And this year, baby, we working with the Oprah Winfrey Network. So it's like now I'm hosting the brand new show, Dating Download on OWN, which premieres on Oprah Winfrey Network's digital platforms, their YouTube channel. You'll be able to check it out starting July 29th, Wednesday nights.
Baby, you had they had to get somebody because the tender went tendering. The only fish most definitely wasn't the only fish. I mean, baby, ooh, no. So, in your opinion, what are people making the biggest mistake when trying to find love?
Well, having the love fantasy. People have love fantasy, they don't have love reality, right?
Mm.
And love reality is a lot different than the fantasy. And if you're stuck on the fantasy when the reality comes, you can't appreciate it because the expectations can nobody can meet, right? So I think right now we're in a space where, because we have the phones and we have the internet, we're all connected. And this is also a time where women are doing well financially, right? So a lot of women want their financial equal. They want to date their wage, right? Which I understand, and I tell women this all the time. Math, I understand as a woman wanting to be a woman that wants to date your wage, right? What you make or more, especially if you're doing well. But what happens is if you're a woman that's doing extremely well, does your wage want to date you back? Because men don't date that way. A man that might be doing extremely well financially essentially would probably select a woman who might be gorgeous to him, fits within his lifestyle, and can make a 10% of what another woman makes because he's looking for a woman that's going to go along with his plan. So I think right now, the difficulty becomes a lot of women still want to date according to the old playbook, but that playbook, honey, is gone. Have a funeral for it. Our world has evolved too much for that old playbook to stand. We're talking about a time, I was talking about social media. Let's just take social media out. We're talking about a time when there was no cell phones, right? So you had to call a woman on the phone. You could not text her. Okay. You could not send an Uber for her. You had to either take a bus to meet her or pull up in a car. At this time, there wasn't a lot of opportunities of women making a lot of money. So her meeting a man that made more than her was more realistic, because if he made 50K, that was a big deal.
Right.
Now a woman looks at a man making 50K like, what? Like,
Right.
how we supposed to go passport jetting on that? So I think the fantasy fairy tale relationship can't live up to the reality of what a relationship is, and that's why people are having difficulties. And our world has evolved too much. The options of being connected, right? Because if a woman wants a man that is very attractive, has money, and if he has a phone, you'll always say this: your grandmama had to be the best in the block. She didn't have to worry about a girl in a different state, because that's not who granddaddy was checking for. Like, he didn't have access to it. Now you could be a fine man in Atlanta, and he might be checking for a girl in Texas or a girl in New York. The people from my show that have gotten married, they wouldn't have met any other way if it wasn't for my show. Like, Amisha, who was at the time, she was a TV reporter in Indianapolis. Her now husband saw her from my show. He was a doctor, a surgeon in New York. And they're both like, the people that have gotten married from my show, they will say out their own mouths, without your show, we would have never met, because it's from a distance. Now, eventually, of course, you got to come together. Somebody got to adjust their life plan, but that's what we're dealing with now.
And I think that, so for me, I'm over 40, and just talking to some of my friends, you know how they tell us once you hit a certain age, your list kind of changes, and with being in the dating field, it has surprised me, right? How some men will say, oh, well, you've got your life together, you've got your career together, you've got this, you've got that. What would you want with me? But my response has been, oh my God, I've dated the ballers, the people that shower me with gifts, but emotionally, their character was extremely flawed. And it's almost like, do you value the money or do you value the characteristics? Because you can meet a man with a whole lot of money and be drug across the floor, versus meeting a man who is not as wealthy, but he treats you like you are the best thing ever. Do you find that happens? Because some of your interviews are hilarious, because I'm looking at these men with their lists and their this and their that, and it's like, you don't even have what you're asking for.
You're
How does
saying the
that
men,
work?
like, now you said that in the men's case or in the woman's case?
Both.
Both. Well, yes. I think that, first of all, dating's not one size fit all, right? So there's not one rule that applies to every human being. Like, there could be a girl who is extremely gorgeous, has no job. Like, I have like, there's levels to wealth, right? But I had a rich guy friend who once told me he almost doesn't want his woman to have a job. It's like, I just need her to be available when I need her to be available. Just be pretty. I don't want her to work. Like, that's what but he was extremely wealthy, so that would make sense. He doesn't want, he's not trying to hear, if he needs to fly to Paris, he wants a woman that can fly with him to Paris, not a girl that has to call, get permission, potentially get a babysitter. So for him, some people might call that type of girl a bum, but he's like, no, she's available when I need her to be available. That's what I want. So I say that to say, dating's not one size fit all, and the same rule is not going to apply for every human. So I think that's the challenge too. You got to self-assess yourself. Like, period. Like, your dating pool is your dating pool. And your friend, your sister, the girl on the internet, she got a whole different dating pool for a whole different reason. You
Right.
can't worry about that. We always so worry about what the next person has that we negate what is for us. So you
Right.
got to do self-assessment. You got to learn yourself. But what you just said, I thought was dope, and it sounds good. But I get guys with good character all the time that get overlooked because they don't have the aesthetic. They don't have the money. But it goes both ways. I get men who complain about a woman not having character, but I'll get good women that have good character, but then they'll get overlooked because they don't have the aesthetic that the guy desires. So I say that people always say character is most important, but I think a lot of single people date with attraction first.
Mhm.
Attraction first, and or what you can provide. Like, what can I gain from this? And we always talk about, like, we know that women like successful men. Like, I don't think anybody would refute that. But there's also men now, baddies, that are looking for the successful woman to branch to. Like, our world has changed. So men are also like, well, shoot, I'm fine. Who can I cash out with? So it's a lot going on right now. But I think at the core, it starts with yourself. Like,
Mhm.
if you know, you focus on you being a good person, focus on you having a good character. Because when that comes into your in your energy, it will be a turn off, right? Because that's not who
Mhm.
you are at the core. Because what people don't want to admit, there's a little something of you in everybody that you ever dated. Maybe you have evolved and maybe you're no longer that person, but at that time, like attracted, like likes is opposites on attract, like attracts, okay? So whoever you attracted, there's something about you that is that person. So
Right.
you got to do the work and healing and self assessing yourself. And when you evolve, then you will attract better people.
I love that. So the exciting thing is, I mean, we talked about the show being on the OWN network. That's amazing. Like I said, Tinder went tendering. So we need some stuff, girl. We need some stuff. But you are actually participating in InvestFest, I believe.
I am.
So let's get into that. Let's talk about it because I saw somewhere where it was sold out or about to be sold out. I'm like, oh
Okay,
my
yes, yes, yes. First of all, I'm happy you brought up InvestFest because it gives me a chance to just say how much. I mean, I can't express how much I love Rashad and Troy from Earn Your Leisure. These are my brothers. I mean, they put me in position to win all the time. I've been working with InvestFest for the last 3 years, and I'm just so grateful because this is why every relationship doesn't need to be a romantic relationship, right? I think we have to go back to solid, brother, sister, relationship connections that are very important. And that's what Rashad and Troy have done for me. So for them allowing me to be a part of InvestFest, like, I do not take it for granted at all. But yes, honey, we got a singles lounge. And we know all the ladies, because y'all talk about ballers, honey. This is where the ballers be. And everybody in InvestFest got money, honey. So this is our first year doing it. So we're doing the singles lounge, the Kendra G singles lounge, I like to call it. And we're going to have a room full of people that are single, at InvestFest that want to network. Not only people networking for business, maybe you meet, the person you also partner with in life. And I'm also hosting my show live on Saturday, August 8th. And I'm going to have 6 singles. I've already selected them that I will be showcasing at InvestFest, and we'll be having, their single experience. And then maybe, maybe you think this is your man, or maybe you think this is your girl, and you'll be able to download the dating app and hit them up or hit them up in person. But I'm very excited about having the singles partnership with InvestFest because for the last few years, I hosted their pitch competition, which I am hosting again this year. But now I also get to do the Kendra G Singles Dating Show live.
So I've always wondered because you have people come on and they say the wildest things, and I'm like, how is this lady keeping a straight face through all of this? Because oh boy,
I think, okay. So I think what people, and this is why I always remind people, I'm a journalist. Like, you don't, I think when people are watching, and even you said, she's a dating coach, and I get all those relationship accolades. But when I talk about who I am, I'm always going to stay true to who I am. I'm a journalist. I've been interviewing people for 25 years. This is my 25th anniversary from, I'm graduating from Hampton University, and I always wanted my own show. And I always thought my own show was going to be predicated around celebrities, but God had another vision, right? And I'm so happy God had the vision that I didn't see for myself when I started on my career in media. But that's how I'm able to sit there with a straight face. And then sometimes I'm not in a straight face. But what I love about my show, and I've always knew this, even when I was a journalist, I knew my secret weapon was being myself. And
yes,
I knew I wasn't like, I shout out to Fox News that gave me Fox Good Day Philly gave me my first TV opportunity. You know, I started radio while I was at Hampton, but my TV accolades, which include CNN, Fox, Bravo, BT, E Network. But the one thing about it is, it was clear that I was like a wild firecracker. So it's like, what do we do with this girl? Because she's funny, you know, she likes to be fabulous. But you know, we can't have her doing the evening news because she might cuss. So it was like, I was so unique in placement. Like, how do we place her? And I just knew that I just got to be myself. So if I could find the opportunity where I could be Kendra G, authentically me in all
Yes.
ways, I'm going to excel. And that's what the single show does. It
Yes.
allows me to be my 1000% authentic self. I don't cuss on OWN. Now that's the one thing we don't do. We respect Mama O's house, right? So there ain't no swearing on OWN. But now if you watch the Kendra G single show, you're gonna see a cuss or two. Cause these people gonna cause you. Listen, child, I said either I'm a cuss or I'm gonna be on drugs. Cause y'all gonna drive me to be on cocaine. I don't drink, I don't do no drugs. So I think I could get a little bit of grace if I gotta cut somebody out on my show at times.
Well, I love it. You know, your message just totally resonated with me. As far as me being a media correspondent, that's one thing that I'm proud of myself for, continuing to be myself authentically, showing up as yourself. And you may not always get the opportunities that other people get because that's not what they're looking for. They may be looking for the loud girl. They may be looking for the girl with the bold look. And I'm absolutely okay because I like to take naps. So it is perfectly fine. But thank you so much for giving me that message. Is there anything you want to let people know before we let you go?
Yes. Before I close out with business, I want to kind of piggyback on what you just said. When you said give the opportunities, what I learned is no one's going to give you the opportunity, honey. You got to blaze your own trail. Like,
Mm-hmm.
had I not blazed this trail, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to do the show with Owen. But I had
Right.
to blaze that trail because what I've learned in doing media at the time, so 6 years ago, I'm 20, so I'm 19 years in my career when I start this show. And I mean, I had an amazing job, right? Like I was a morning show host at WGCI in Chicago, the biggest, urban radio station in the city with a legacy history that goes down countless years, right? But I wanted more. And what I recognize is no one's going to give it to you, honey. So you got to go get it yourself. And I think to all media girls and a lot of times we're overlooked at times for opportunities because what happens is, don't forget, honey, it's a business. Now, granted, I'm great at what I do, but if I didn't build the infrastructure, the numbers, to back up the talent with the numbers, I don't get the opportunity. So
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage all media people and journalists in particular that sometimes you feel slated because you didn't get the job to an out of work actress or you didn't get the job to an influencer and you're like, I've been doing it, I got the degree, I've been hustling. Let me tell you something. What you have can't nobody take away, and that's the talent. So all you got to do is get the numbers. So if you blaze your own trail because you got the secret weapon with the talent, because the one thing I will say with my show, The Dating Download, an influencer would have had a hard time because, honey, this is where my degree came to. You had to have it. I'm reading
Yeah.
teleprompters. I'm interviewing people live. I'm in real time interviews, so you never know what they're
Right.
gonna say, and you have to definitely mirror the conversation. Then throw it to the B roll of what happened. Come back from the B roll. If I wasn't trained to do that, there's no way
Mm-hmm.
I could have hosted that show. But what I
Mm-hmm.
learned was when I was being overlooked for opportunities, I was like, I didn't cry about it. I said, okay, let me just blaze my trail. Let me just go get the numbers, and then I'm undeniable. And
Yeah.
I love that it happened to me now at this stage in my life because we got so much more life to live.
Absolutely. And my aunt tells me all the time, it doesn't matter how many people see you, the right person will come along and see you. And that can
Yes,
just open up so many doors, so
absolutely.
many doors. So before I let you go, tell everybody where they can follow you at, and because I'm going to invest this to the singles lounge. No, somebody
Oh,
just
you
picked my.
going to the Best Wrestling like you say, yeah, my man gonna be in there. Okay. So since you brought up the fact that I'll include everything. So first things first, Dating Download, Oprah Winfrey Network, on OWN's YouTube channel. So if you have OWN, great, but you will be able to watch it on its digital platforms, YouTube in particular. So Wednesday nights, I got you on lock. You ain't got no excuses. You got a phone, honey. You can tune into YouTube. 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern. We're going to launch on July 29th with 2 episodes back to back. So make sure you are definitely tuned in July 29th on OWN, and it'll be every Wednesday night. We have 10 episodes. Kendra G, you can follow me very easy. Just Google child. But don't look, there's a lot of fake news. Only the good news is the true news. Anything negative, child, it's a lie. I'm here to tell you it's a lie. But Kendra G Media on social media, you can find me. Also download the Kendra G Singles dating app. And yes, and yeah, tune in. It's just like that. But I'll see you on Wednesday nights on OWN's YouTube page, Dating Download.
I love it. And it's Mo Clark with Upscale Magazine, and we are signing out, guys. Bye.
Bye.